So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We are back on this anticlimactic Tuesday night. This grey, horrible, cold Tuesday night. I was thinking about doing a video, but then I thought, well, because it's getting late on in the day, because the sun's gone, everything's gone. Title, hopes and dreams for Manchester United supporters have gone. Everything's gone. The whole thing. Just thought we'd go live and just have a more relaxed football discussion because trying to chat about my club at the moment is so stressful. It's so stressful, and it's not worth the stress. It's not worth it. God, not going to even bother. And just seeing my Twitter feed just filled with all of this different stuff, like more things to burst a blood vessel about. It's just not, some things in life are just not worth getting mad about. Just chill, just relax a bit. Let's talk about some other clubs because I don't think I've done this enough on this channel, despite it being in the description in pretty much most places. That I'm also talking about other clubs. So let's talk about what else is going on in the Prem. Let's also talk about what's going on in the rest of Europe as well. So shall be interesting. Got quite a few things going on. Quite a few things. Compulsory pint of chocolate milk before bed. There's no better way to do it. It's no better way to do it. Oh. So what have we got to talk about? Let's start here. So Tottenham Football Club. A few things, a few plans of actions, a few a bit of essence of doing from Daniel Levy. Actual work to prepare Tottenham Hotspur for the next season. So that must be a nice sight. Must be a nice sight for the Tottenham faithful. But we've got in centre-back positions, got Van der Ven. That looks like a promising transfer target for your defence, especially considering the sort of defence you've got at the moment. I mean, Jesus Christ. Ooh. And I'll tell you what, I think I said it before with Harry Maguire, where they were interested, there was registered interest, but no plans for a bid. If I was you, I would run the other way. Run the other way. Don't even try and entertain a bid for Harry Maguire. No chance. Even if it's for free, don't even entertain it. If you want your defence to stand any chance, because can you just imagine that? Just imagine that, right? A Harry Maguire and Eric Dyer defence. Can you imagine the absolute catastrophe that would be? Absolute calamitous catastrophe of a defensive partnership. But it looks like they're adding some qualities in areas that the defence desperately needs with Van der Ven. And by the looks of it, they're going to add some pace, going to add some speed, going to bail them out of quite a few spots of bother, I reckon. Just adds a bit of pace into your defence, and I think you've solved quite a lot of problems that I think quite a few teams tend to have in the Premier League at least. But not only Van der Ven that you've got on the books, but also James Maddison, supposedly preparing to table an offer here of about £40 million. And a player in James Maddison's position is not a bad chance for Tottenham to make at all, actually, considering you've not actually had a player like James Maddison or a player that plays James Maddison's role in, what is it, probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years. Probably since Eriksen was probably your last player to actually play in that sort of advanced creative midfield position. So I think for me, James Maddison is a really wise decision for Tottenham to go for, especially now that you've appointed a attacking manager in Ange Postecoglou. It's definitely worth it's worth going to explore that those sorts of avenues. Definitely worth entertaining the idea, but most importantly would be more in the case that you're supporting your manager. You're backing his project, you're backing the process. You're trusting the process. That's the you might as well almost say it's the catchphrase, the Arsenal catchphrase. You trust the process. Created, signed, sealed, and delivered by the Arsenal fan base for every club that's in a spell of mediocrity. Also says here that Leicester City, they want 60 million for their 26-year-old England star, which I thought I read somewhere a little while back that James Maddison supposedly had like a £20 million relegation clause in his current contract. Don't know what truth there was to that whatsoever, but by the looks of it, it doesn't seem to be true, considering that the club is consistently asking for extortionate fees for their players. So, I mean, not to say that it isn't worth that amount of money. I think probably Tottenham's closer, a little bit closer to the sort of reasonable sort of asking price. I reckon about 45 to 50 million is probably about a fair price. Well, I say it's about a fair price, probably to fitting into a bigger club. Probably a better sort of a more reasonable price for a player of James Maddison's quality. But we'll have to see how serious Tottenham and Daniel Levy are with that, because very easily they could turn around and say, "Nah, not worth it. We'll go." How is it that Henry Wright says it? He says that you could shop in Halfords. We could be shopping in Halfords. But we're going to go shop in Poundland instead. And in fact, no. Why shop in Poundland when you can save an extra penny per item in 99p land? Because I know there's that store. It's its closest competitor on your classic high street layouts. Save a couple of extra pennies on your weekly shop. What else have we got going on here? Harry Kane to Bayern Munich as well. So essentially staying on the Tottenham subject. Harry Kane, is his time at Tottenham finally up? Because God only knows if United will actually get him under any circumstances. Because word on the street, Harry Kane, Manchester United have realised, well, actually, there's a chance that Harry Kane could leave. Oh, I know. Let's go back and test the waters again. It's like, say, for instance, as an example, it's just like, I'm trying to think of an analogy to create or create an analogy for this. I'll use one along the same lines as what Mark Goldbridge did with the whole restaurant thing, but I'm going to change it slightly. So it's like if you go into a curry house, right? Or a kebab shop. That's it, a kebab shop. So you go into a kebab shop, you have a kebab with your mates, right? And you all agree with each other straight away. It's really, really, really pricey. And it's just like, it's not really worth it. The service is slow. Food quality is not that great. And it's so seriously, seriously pricey. And then it's like you're walking out of there and you're just like, yeah, no, never going back there again. No, we're not entertaining that again. We're not choosing that as our local kebab shop. But then someone else goes in who then ends up having, they come out and they say, oh, I've had a worldie kebab, absolute worldie kebab, best kebab I've ever had in my life. Now, an educated sort of response to that would be, oh, while the bloke who's come out saying that is absolutely drunk off his tits. Okay, well, at least we know not to take that seriously. But what do Man United do? Well, that guy's had a fantastic experience. Even though he was completely plastered, the poor bastard. Went in there, had food poisoning from the kebab that he had. But, wow, he came out saying it was excellent, so we're going to go back there and we'll make that our local. It's just like, probably quite a shit analogy, that, but still. But yeah, Harry Kane, apparently there was the bid, a bid was submitted in that aspect. What was it? About 70 million, I think it was, with a few add-ons, just as an initial proposal from Bayern Munich. And I suppose it's one of those where the attention is not really focused on Daniel Levy anymore. It's actually just focused on Harry Kane and what he's going to want to do. Where is he going to go? What is he going to want to do? Is he going to want to stay at the club? Is he going to want to entertain the idea of potentially going, taking the transfer move to Bayern? Because it's not very often that you get a club, at the peak of their powers in Europe, on the European scene, Champions League contenders every single year. It's not every day that you get linked with a move to be the star striker of their team. And it's not even that, it's not like, oh, you're just going to be another cog in the machine, like, say, a Declan Rice will be at Manchester City. No, you're going there to be the star striker of the team. You are the standout man, the standout number 9 for them. That's a big deal. So really, you look at Kane's ambitions and you say, well, what do you really want in your football career? What's more important to you? What do you want to be remembered as? The guy who stayed at one club, like the Ryan Giggs or one club merchant, staying at a club to break records but not achieve anything noteworthy? Or are you going to be remembered winning trophies and being one of the most successful English strikers that the world has ever seen? You could have that. I know it's very late in your career, but you could still have that. You can win a lot of trophies at a single club in like the space of 3 years, especially if you go to a club like Bayern Munich. You could end up winning like 9, 10 trophies just after 3 years. Because winning trophies at a club like Bayern Munich is just, it's just like one of the most simple things. Like the simple things in life. The little simple things in life. Is there anything else before we leave Tottenham? Doesn't look like it. Newcastle. So let's give Newcastle a little bit of light. Newcastle are in advanced talks with relegated Southampton over a potential £15 million deal for 20-year-old English fullback Tino Livramento. £15 million. They're going to get their own little Tyrrell Malacia deal. And Livramento, not a bad right back at all. Actually, it's quite good. He's a pretty good right back. Shame about him being a part of a team, well, probably being part of the worst Premier League team last season. And again, there was quite a few clubs that were battling for that privilege to be named the worst Premier League side last season. At Southampton, I thought had a couple of standout players in their team. We had Livramento, had Lavia, had Ward-Prowse, a couple people. It's a bit like Leicester City, only a couple of standout players, and that's it. The rest of the squad as a whole, leaving plenty to be desired. But I reckon Newcastle, I think that's almost preparing for life a little bit after not Kieran Tierney, Jesus Christ, Kieran Trippier. They're both called Kieran, so fair enough. But I think it's like a move, almost preparing for life after Kieran Trippier, I reckon. I think it's probably a little bit of that, plotting for the future. And I think because Livramento's got quite a lot of room to grow, a lot of room to grow. I think Newcastle, the fact that he'd be playing as rotation to Kieran Trippier would do him a lot of favours, especially to sort of filling out the first team position at a bigger club, because Newcastle, they're only going to get bigger. They're only going to get bigger, and sooner or later they're going to get their breakthrough successful day. And when that happens, it's probably not going to be any form of looking back for them. So I had Adrien Rabiot, Manchester United. Adrien Rabiot signed a new contract with Juventus. Don't think it's actually been announced yet that he's signed a new contract, but it's close enough. Close enough to signing that contract. Yeah, bit of a lost cause for Manchester United at the moment. Not having any chance of getting any players in at the moment, because I think Mark Goldbridge summed it up really well on the pretty much the evening show. That the only thing that I've heard thus far as any reason why we haven't signed any players is due to FFP. But just to continue with this point, I haven't heard anything about FFP. Well, no one's heard about anything to do with FFP with any other club, so I think that sums it up pretty much. Sums it up big time. No other club is having any discussions about financial fair play. But with Manchester United, it's the bane of our existence, apparently. Apparently, word has it that it's the bane of our existence, the worst thing that's ever happened to us. And the annoying thing is it almost plays into the hands of the journalists that wrote about us having about £120 million to play around with, to spend, but then we'd have to rely on sales to increase that number. I mean, the thing is that first and foremost, people in the club crying about financial fair play, first and foremost, you can solve that by selling players. Now, we know that selling players in Manchester United Football Club is, not an impossible to getting good fees for them. But the problem is that you just have to accept your losses, take your losses, or cut your losses, and just get on with doing the job that you're employed to do, and to stop jeopardizing another manager's project. I mean, we heard it from Chris Wheeler when he went onto the United Stand for an interview earlier today, about Erik ten Hag is not even the first manager. I mean, it just further confirms what we already know, is that Manchester United do a very good job in letting their managers down, and that Ten Hag is not the first one to be, frustrated and pissed off with proceedings being really slow and nothing happening. He's not the first person that this is happening to, so it really does make you wonder how on earth such an incompetent board can last for so long without repercussions. It really does make you wonder, but then it's like, well, it makes all the sense in the world because you've got an incompetent club ownership as well, so of course. But yes, when nothing good happens, we'll grab our Norwich scarves, Big ups to Norwich for lending us production on all of those. did a really good job in removing the Canaries logo as well. You know, it's fantastic work that they've done, giving them to anyone that doesn't want to hear a peep about supporting the Glazers regime. Do a very good job, very, very good job. Let's have a look here. Chelsea have allegedly reached a full agreement on personal terms with £80 million rated midfielder Moises Caicedo, but will now need to settle on a fee with Brighton. Now, the thing is about the Caicedo to Chelsea is that that transfer is essentially waiting on Manchester United signing Mason Mount, which I think is hilarious because it's like Chelsea are in a bit of a predicament, but they know who it is they want to sell, and they know how much they want to get for that player to enable them to buy Caicedo. I think it is hilarious. I think the whole situation is just absolutely hilarious. And the fact is that you could literally destroy Chelsea, like a massive part of Chelsea's rebuild, by just ignoring Mason Mount completely and just going and signing Caicedo. It could literally just destroy everything. But that's completely plausible. But this club, our club, is so bent backwards for a player that they don't need. And make no mistake, Manchester United don't need Mason Mount. Regardless of what anyone tells you, they don't need Mason Mount. We don't need Mason Mount. We just need another defensive midfield attribute that can play alongside Casemiro, that makes us hard to beat away from home, and then signing a striker who will actually be clinical in front of goal. Those were the two key problems that we had last season. Sometimes we didn't create a lot, because sometimes you'll get midfielders that have off games. But the problem is that when our midfielders are off, it's not that they're just off with creating chances, they'll be off defensively as well. So Caicedo is someone you'd want to have in the team to shore up the defensive side of things. So if your attack has an off day, you still don't get beaten for sixes and sevens. You know, that's Caicedo is the insurance policy to allow Ten Hag to not have to be knocked back 3, 4, 5 steps, to have to try and spin it as a way of saying, oh, we're going to work to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Well, it's going to happen every single time you travel away from home, on the simple basis that your board don't care about this club and don't care about this team and don't care about you, most importantly, right? This board does not care about Erik Ten Hag in the slightest, because that's the thing. It's greed. Ownership, the ownership situation is greed. The CEO position is greed. And everyone in a position of power is greed. It's all about taking the paychecks, getting paid handsomely, keeping your jobs, and everyone else that could potentially risk or put your job at risk is expendable. Or even if they're not putting your job at risk, even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, even though he was literally just the iron curtain, just deflecting everything away from the ownership and the board members, even with him being there, the club really could not have cared less about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That I think is the bitter truth, and the rather sort of reality TV show, like the drama reality TV show, where everything feels like it's, you know, hystericalized, right? And I suppose that's one of the things is the board used to call the fans hysterical. They'll say, oh, no, don't worry about fan opinions because all fans are hysterical. They're very hysterical. Usually it's people who deal in hysterics that call everyone else hysterical, because everyone's having to describe what it is you're doing. So of course to you it sounds hysterical. Of course it is, because it's we're just accurately saying what we're seeing, just accurately describing what's happening with our club, and you don't like it. Well, guess what? Truth hurts. So if I kick you in the balls, you're gonna be on the floor for probably a solid good 2-3 minutes. Truth hurts. You know, it's just the truth of the situation. It's just the truth of the matter. You know, and a logical club, and this is the thing, like this club is happy to spend £55 million on Mason Mount, but they're throwing FFP at everyone, or the press, the media is throwing financial fair play at everyone. Something sounds like to me that they're briefing the press by saying, well, if you tell everyone that we were going to really, really struggle this season or this summer because of financial fair play, then we can get away with having a bad summer. So you're basically disassociating yourself from accountability by using you're weaponizing the media to protect yourself. You are literally weaponizing the media to protect yourself. I don't understand, like, what. Again, it just feeds more into my point. It's greed. You'll do anything, and you'll stoop to any level of low, to make sure that you don't lose your job. That's it. That's it. And it ties perfectly in with the media report. That's most of the people who work for Manchester United in position of powers are absolutely bricking it at the prospect of of the club being taken over by Qatar, because Qatar want to win. Qatar don't care about your sob story. They don't care about your sorry ass. Life has been really hard at Manchester United under the Glazer owner. Yeah, you enabled it. You enabled it. You absolute shitter. Get out. Seriously, it will look like a Gordon Ramsay. Like, seriously, that first meeting with Qatar ownership, that first board meeting is going to look like a highlight reel of Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen, where he's just telling everyone, he's pointing at everyone, he's going, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. He literally is just, it's going to be just like that. That is literally what all it's going to be, which is absolutely hilarious. I'd love to see that. I'd pay to be a fly on that wall. It'd be absolutely hilarious just to watch everyone getting the P45 in the most slanderous and the most insulting way possible. Absolutely. I'd absolutely love to see it. Napoli. So a bit of European news, this one. Napoli's reported rejection of Paris Saint-Germain's Paris Saint-Germain €100 million move for the 24-year-old Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen could spark an auction, with Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle poised to launch bids. But I thought he was 120 million. I thought we were dealing in hundreds. Oh, that's right. It's only Manchester United that get the. If it's so basically, if it's PSG, it's £86 million. If it's Liverpool, it's probably going to be £70 million. If it's Newcastle, could probably be about £75 to £80 million. But if it's Manchester United, well, to be honest, I think they put it up to 120 just based off the interest alone. Do you know what? They might as well just stick it up to 300. Or what was it? No, they came out and said that that people worked it out. The maths, they did the mathematics, they used the brains, they did the calculations on the financial reports um, on the third and fourth quarters, right? And they basically worked out that actually what we have credited to use, not the actual amount that we can use, with based around the current FFP rulings, we could potentially be using about 250 plus million pounds. Okay, then, well, Napoli can go stick the asking price of 250 million. You can go do that. What am I watching? I'm seeing some weird videos. Some really weird shit going on all over my Twitter timeline. Big ups to the people, by the way, that went to do the protest outside the club shop this morning. Big ups to those people. Got the club store shut down 1 minute after its scheduled open time at 10 p.m. 10, Jesus Christ, 10 p.m. 10 a.m. They might as well open at 10 p.m. because at least they won't get many people around to try and close the club shop. Ah. I know that I see quite a few people were actually taking the mickey out of how many people were actually there for the protest. And to be honest with you, the fact that there was people there and they actually influenced, the club shop being closed, that's enough of a win. It's enough of a win for me, at least. Don't know if anyone else is that easily pleased by seeing that. And also shout out to the guys that were there booing a couple of the ladies that had been in there in the club shop and bought some items. They started booing them out of Summit Busby Way. They were booing them out of the street. So big ups to them as well. Yeah, not a massive amount of bits and pieces to talk about. Jorginho planning to stay at Arsenal. Is staying to win a league title with Mikel Arteta. Yeah, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Marcus Thuram has put pen to paper on a 5-year deal as new Inter Milan player. It's all signed and sealed, according to Fabrizio Romano. Don't watch any Bundesliga football. I need to start getting into watching other leagues as well. I need to get into watching some other leagues. I need to start assessing the game a bit more depth. Spend a bit more time watching other leagues, other games. Need to increase my borders and boundaries. Mark Goldbridge finally admitting to David De Gea needing to leave. And Jesus Christ, this is something that needs to be given some light as well. So Man United's gross debt figure currently stands at £725 million. Now, I know it's debt on a football club, so it doesn't really significantly mean anything, but Jesus Christ, in debt by nearly £750 million. By the way, by the way, there was next to no debt when the Glazers bought this club. They didn't even buy the club. They didn't buy it. They loaned the club, and it essentially became. It's like buying. They essentially bought the club by loaning it. It's like a permanent loan. Don't even think it should be regarded as the Glazers having purchased Manchester United when they didn't. They just permanently loaned it. Jesus Christ. The absolute state. Regarding the takeover of the club, as of last night, a preferred bidder has still not been chosen. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't think we're going to actually see there ever be a preferred bidder. I know that there was talk today about the Manchester United share price. That apparently that has been rising across the day, up to I think $24 it is. So it has had a significant increase. Um, it has had a significant increase, but somewhat dropping down. I think it's cooling down a bit now, which I think makes sense that it's somewhat doing that. Just as because the financials of the club are being talked about. I think based off of financial figures, I think some people might have done a couple trades with the public minority, like publicly accessible shares. So yeah, I think it makes sense that we've seen a rising of the share prices. I think it makes sense. Self-explanatory is what we call it. Stefan de Vrij has not changed plans as he will stay at Inter until June 2025. Not a bad centre-back he is. It's pretty alright. I'm pretty sure Louis van Gaal was interested in signing him quite a while back. I used to call him Stefan de Vrij at the time because I was not familiar with the Dutch language and Dutch pronunciation, so I kept literally calling people's names by how it was spelt and just being as English as possible about it. It's just quite shambolic. Quite shambolic. You know what? Let's have a look at see what else we've got. Let's see what else Fabrizio is saying. AC Milan are negotiating with Chelsea for Christian Pulisic after Loftus-Cheek deal was agreed. Two separate deals and negotiations. Milan insist on paying less than €25 million asking price. The player is keen on the move, but no agreement between clubs yet. So, no, that'll be a relatively, somewhat good transfer for AC Milan. Somewhat of a good transfer for AC Milan, but it's also somewhat good news for Chelsea. Another player off the books, and judging by it being Christian Pulisic, he's quite an injury-prone player. And clear your books of someone who's going to spend more time on the injury table than he is on the football pitch. You can't say it's not a win. Can't say it's not a win. Sadio Mane, manager Cisse. I haven't heard about approaches from Saudi. What's certain is that he stays at Bayern. He's signed for 3 years. So this is to do with Sadio Mane being linked to a move to Saudi Arabia. But no topics as of yet on that department. Further Saudi interest here from, further Saudi interest in Marco Verratti is concrete, Jesus Christ, concrete and serious is the interest. They're trying to convince the Italian midfielder. Not easy at this stage. It's not going to be easy to taking a player away from Europe when they're at a big club and they want to win trophies. Not only that, but prying him away from a club owned by a Middle Eastern state that isn't Saudi Arabia, by the way. So, of course, it's going to be harder. It's going to be much, much harder. Understand negotiations between Real Madrid and Eduardo Camavinga's camp over long-term new deal continue in very positive way, but agreement is not done yet. No panic, no issues. All parties want the same. Camavinga loves Real, considered matter of time. So, some positives for Los Blancos. Oh, that's a name I haven't seen in a hot minute. Bayern remain optimistic on Kim Min-jae deal. The agreement on personal terms is almost done since 2 weeks, waiting on key details to be discussed once the military service is over. Contract until June 2028 ready. It's up to Bayern to pay the release clause, which I'm pretty sure they will do without the slightest problem. So also got some Roberto Firmino news. Negotiations between I keep thinking it's all one club, Al Ahly and representatives of Roberto Firmino are advancing. Talks underway. He'd join Edu Mendy has already completed his medical tests and signed a 3-year contract as new. Oh my god, Ali. He spelt Al Ali in 2 different ways. He spelt it first time with an I and the second time with a Y. But yeah, picking up quite a lot. It's actually quite a lot of clubs because you would have, I suppose, with the Chinese Super League, you had like 2 or 3 clubs moving for big blockbuster money moves. And I think same thing with the American MLS league as well when they were signing the sort of marquee superstars on the rundown on their careers. But by the looks of it, it's much more widespread with the Saudi clubs, that they're all sort of trying to pinch a player or 2 here or there. No, it's definitely only just the first summer, but it's probably worth anticipating the actual level of quality in those leagues after, I'd say, 2-3 seasons. Because if nothing changes with the approach, say next summer, with how interested they are in signing European players and competing with European clubs in attaining new signings, and I reckon 2-3 years down the line, you'll see quite a highly competitive Saudi league and with quite a bit of interest. I reckon there could be quite a bit of interest in the Saudi league. Also had some Manchester City news. Got Mateo Kovacic was unveiled as the new signing for Manchester City today, which is, I suppose a good move on their part. I think I don't think he's anywhere near Chelsea's worst midfielder last season. There's quite a few names that take the cake with that one ahead of Mateo Kovacic. So I think Manchester City, given the sort of how sturdy their system is and the sort of midfielders they've got, Kovacic going in there, just being another cog in the machine, essentially just adding more oil to already well-oiled machines, just really like the insurance policy that Man City don't get left short in any areas. So, you know, the Kovacic signing is a bit of a no-brainer for the sort of player that he is and the sort of role that he's going to play. I suppose the only question really now is how serious do they actually want Declan Rice, and if they're going to really, really push to trying to sign the likes of Declan Rice, which will be interesting to see if they actually do push really hard for that. Something else as well, the lady on TalkSport, I can't remember, something Aluko, I think her name is, was talking about, oh, this is something we used to do when I was a sporting director. I used to get a call from I used to call big clubs and ask them to place bids, so it encourages my owner to up our bid. And it's like, that is just, I'm sorry, but that's just nonsensical. It's just nonsensical. I mean, like that sort of information that you're putting out there, it's almost like you are airing dirty laundry, because it's not really something that one should be, proud of doing by influencing other clubs to bid for players that they're not seriously looking at, just for the sake of getting your club's owners to release the funds necessary to actually put in the bid that needs to be paid to retain the player or to sign the player. And I think it's just, even if that is the truth in Arsenal's approach, I think it just feeds more into the fact that, the Arsenal board are quite clueless in how they're going about doing their business, and how they are structuring big deals, or how they're going to get big deals over the line. Because I'll tell you what, Edu's probably, with his track record, is probably getting a nosebleed every 5 minutes after seeing the amount of money that he's going to have to fork out to go and acquire a player like Declan Rice. And maybe the Cronkays are just like, listen, you go spend 80 million on a player, then your job's on the line if that player doesn't work out. It's probably like they might have had that sort of a discussion over the phone or something. Don't know the true politics of the club's ethos. So I think it's one of those that really just depends if Arsenal, with their complicated transfer approach, if them messing about will eventually end up with the player signing a contract for Arsenal. But I'll tell you what, even if what Aluko said is true and Man City end up going and bidding for a player which gets accepted and Declan Rice agrees to personal terms as well, if Declan Rice, imagine that, if what Aluko said is true, let me just, Eni Aluko, I think it is. Yeah, Eni Aluko. What Eni Aluko said, but Declan Rice, well, if Eni Aluko, what she said is true about Arsenal trying to get Man City to bid so that Arsenal can then up their bid to pay what is necessary. Imagine that, if that is true. Just to think on a hypothetical here, I'm not saying that what she said is true at all. Personally, I don't think it is. But just to think on a hypothetical, if it was true, what would be absolutely hilarious is if the Manchester City bid accidentally gets accepted and the player agrees to terms with Man City, and then he goes and joins Manchester City. And then Arsenal just like, but that's not how it's supposed to work. We're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to let us sign the player and let us take the glory and make us look like the better club. I tell you what, though, that method would suit the PR that Arsenal put out there right down to the ground. Would absolutely suit them to a T. It really, really would. So I wouldn't put it past Arsenal, really, really trying to acquire signings by manipulating other clubs to or manipulating their own board via interest of other clubs. So I think all of that sort of stuff will be interesting to see how it plays out. Also forgot with Tottenham Hotspur, they've also announced their first signing of the window. What's his face? Can't remember what his name is. There it is. Guglielmo. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry if I've managed to offend an entire country. But Guglielmo, I'm going to call him Guglielmo. Sounds more like an Italian pronunciation. But Vicarios, so Guglielmo Vicarios set to be announced as Tottenham player, deal valid until June 2028. Definitely a much needed signing, especially after the departure of Hugo Lloris, and I don't think Forster is going to be a valid first choice goalkeeper if he's even still there. To be honest, I don't know. Is he still there? He's still there. Forster. Fraser Forster. He's still at the club. Supposedly he is. Let's just say he is. Might as well. He's still currently at the club. But yeah, I think you'd want to, judging by the way that Italian peers have spoken about him, he's definitely highly regarded in the Italian game. Highly regarded by the experienced legends that is Gianluigi Buffon. And it's not every day that you get to spoken highly about by someone that decorated in the game. Oh, ooey, 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 ooey. Sui, Fabrizio Romano. It's just tweeted 2 minutes ago. Here we are. Here's some news for you, Tottenham. Tottenham are now closing in on James Maddison deal. Here we go soon. Here we go soon. Verbal agreement in place on a £40 million fee, so they've accepted it. They've accepted the £40 million. Final details, add-ons, payment structure, then signed. Daniel Levy on it with LCFC. Personal terms 100% agreed. Medical to be scheduled soon. Oh, saucy. Saucy. Tottenham getting on with business. They are not messing around at the moment. They are getting things done. Getting it done. That's a pretty fair fee for James Maddison. I'd rate that as a good transfer. I'd say a £40 million transfer just in general for James Maddison is definitely a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. But for Tottenham, I'd probably rate that as about an 8.5 to 9 out of 10 transfer for Tottenham to make, especially when you're looking to be backing your manager, Andrew Postecoglou. Very, very good signing for them. Very good signing. So well done to them. We're still sat on Man United are still sat on our fingers, trying to figure out what 9 plus 10 is, and still coming up with 21 because we think we're funny like it's yesteryear. I mean, Jesus Christ, even Arsenal have signed someone, and their board's in a bit of a crisis. Liverpool are in a bit of a transfer crisis. Even though they've signed Alexis McAllister, they're struggling to identify who the next signing is going to be or who's next they'll be joining the club. It's trouble in quite a few clubs' towns, but unfortunately for us, we're still umming and ahhing at the page of finances. Strange. So yeah, Leicester and Tottenham have reached final stages in negotiations for James Maddison. Yeah, so that's going to be sorted real soon. AC Milan closing on Luca Romero. It's about final details being discussed with camp, and then Argentinian talent will join Milan on a long-term deal. Romero will join Milan as a free agent. He won't sign a new deal at Lazio. Not really too sure who Romero is, to be honest. Jesus. Bit of a mad one. Bit of a mad one. But yeah, basically the moral of the story. We're going to cover a summarization for the top 6 clubs. Basically, you might as well summarize the top 6 like this. Well, I say the top 6. You might as well just say the big 6. The continue. Well, I might as well just call it Big 7 at this point. Just call it the Big 7. We'll disgrace Tottenham as the 7th, but we'll still regard it as the as the Big 7. So let's start with Tottenham. So Tottenham summarising their transfer window thus far. They're starting their new project, new start, new style of approach, new all sorts going on for Tottenham. So I think things are looking on the up for them at least. So they've got a little bit of something to be a bit more relaxed about, a bit more excited about. So all for them to be excited because God only knows that they get any excitement having watched Tottenham for the past 4 years, playing with back fives everywhere. So they're probably going to be a bit more excited for this coming season. Got who we go on to next? Let's go on to Arsenal next. So Arsenal, having signed Kai Havertz, they spent literally, and do you know what's crazy? They spent probably before they signed Kai Havertz, the whole fan base was probably laughing at Chelsea having Kai Havertz. Then they realised, oh crap! Now we're getting him. Now we're getting Kai Havertz. Oh, well, now we've got to change our tune and somehow make Kai Havertz out to be a better attacking midfielder than anyone else on the planet. A better number 10 than anyone else on the planet. Prime La Liga Mesut Ozil. You remember him? The guy that won La Liga's Player of the Year award before he joined Arsenal. That sort of Mesut Ozil. Yeah, Kai Havertz. Oh, he's miles clear of him. Miles clear of him. He's miles clear. He's absolutely clear of everyone. So now what's happened is Arsenal have spent big on Kai Havertz. Everyone's got to spin the narrative to say, well, Kai Havertz is what we've always wanted. He is the gem. He's the light. He's the light to our life. He is the chosen one. He's the one we've always wanted. Remember the days when we could have had Lionel Messi, you could have had Cristiano Ronaldo, could have had Neymar, could have had a front three like that, but no, I didn't want that. Why would you want that? I wanted Kai Havertz, Mr. Versatile, Mr. I play in every single position, Mr. I score 7 goals and 1 assist in 35 games. Yeah, not looking too great with that one. Got what else? Manchester City. Well, if you're a Manchester City fan, I'll tell you what. You might as well start booking off time around now, next year, for your next trophy celebration. because I'm pretty sure you can guarantee that that's going to be happening, right? It's probably what's going to happen. You might as well just start booking for your trophy, time off for your trophy parade next season. Because you're bound to win. You're bound to win a lot of trophies next season, at least two. You're bound to win at least two. Manchester United, we are sat here being told a new reason as to why we are not able to sign anyone every single other day. There's always a new reason. There's always a different reason. And for at least for us as fans, nothing's ever good enough. Nothing is ever good enough, and it's not usually you say nothing is ever good enough to describing someone who's pessimistic or sadistic, and oh, you're Debbie Downer. You don't have, you're not optimistic. You're not positive. Well, the thing is we use that term as a statement of fact. Nothing is ever good enough. That's factual. Nothing is ever good enough at Man United these days. That's why we desperately need Qatar. So need hundreds of millions of pounds at every single transfer window, summer and January transfer window. Get us both of those, please. Would be lovely. Would be fantastic. Would be fan-abby-dozy. Chelsea trying to do a Barcelona sell to buy, and they're doing a pretty good job with their selling, despite it all being to one country, but still selling. You're still buying people. Clubs are still buying your players, regardless of its moral impetus. Who cares? I mean, everyone talking about them being cheats and everything. Well, trust me, if it was your club selling a lot of your players to Saudi Arabia, trust me, you're not calling yourself cheats. You're saying genius business. Oh, we've outsmarted the system. We're so much better. It would be you saying that, but because it doesn't favour you and it's because there's a rival, well, you don't like it. You want to cry about it. Go right ahead. Go right ahead and cry about it, seriously, because for one, I don't care. Two, I don't think really anyone else who understands the facts and what Chelsea are doing is legitimate, despite it, bending rules. Still completely legitimate. It is legitimate because you're not breaking rules. You're not cheating. Factually, unless something else comes out later on that shows that something was done illegally, which I can't imagine that anything anywhere that comes out will be justifying that what Chelsea have been doing has been illegal. I know that they stopped the thing where you could sign players on ridiculously long contracts. FFP stopped that from happening, or basically made it a lot more strict, meaning that you couldn't just do that with every single player. But what they're doing right now is not technically cheating. It's not, well, I say not technically, it's not cheating at all. As it would stand, not cheating yet. Could be cheating in the future, but as of now, it's not cheating. What they're doing is completely fair and it's completely fine by their standards. So, let them be, let them do what they want to do. Liverpool signed one player and now it's panic stations. Apparently, there's rumours about Valverde being offered to Liverpool for about 90 million euros, which I don't believe fits into the subject or doesn't fit into the category of Liverpool signing a player, because Liverpool always try to lowball the offers and try and negotiate the cheaper fees, which sometimes they do a good job of, but when they want to sign a player, they can do good negotiations 100%. The problem is that the players that you're probably looking at, you're dealing with clubs that I don't think want to negotiate. They just want you to pay the price that they're worth. They won't negotiate to try and squeeze more money out of you. They'll just say, well, that's the price. You can put the money on the table and let them take it or leave it. That's just a statement. That's just a statement of truth, especially considering it's a club like Real Madrid. I think another name that was mentioned was Kylian Mbappe. I mean, I don't even know why anyone. I don't know why anyone is even remotely entertaining the idea of Kylian Mbappe. Which is funny because if I say that, there might actually be a world where Liverpool decide to go completely just off the rails with this and sign Kylian Mbappe legitimately. Like there might actually be a world where that happens, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it. And I don't think anyone else. I don't recommend anyone else hold their breath on it either, because otherwise you're going to go blue in the face real quick, and you're going to drop stone cold dead. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Interesting. It's entertaining. I think is the more accurately descriptive term. It's more entertaining that that Mbappe is being linked with Liverpool. To be honest, I think it would be hilarious if Liverpool do actually manage to sign him, because everyone else, literally, I don't think there is a soul alive today that would sit there and say, "Well, Jesus Christ." Well, you can't say that FSG haven't backed Jurgen Klopp if they've managed to pull off signing. Um, if they've managed to pull off signing Kylian Mbappe. An absolute mad one. See if there's anything else. So Andre Onana supposedly talks there are getting talks there are going further. I wouldn't say that they're getting closer. I'll just say the talks are just going a little bit further with Andre Onana. The information that come out about David De Gea's contract rejection was that he has originally agreed to sign the contract. He was going to sign the contract until the club themselves pulled out of the deal. They pulled out of the deal because they started seeing what everyone else was seeing, and they decided to make the call on it and say, "Hold fire, hold your horses." Absolutely crazy, crazy scenes. Something like fans saying David De Gea deserves this limbo from back and forth. It's on the club. Wow, yeah, the club's incompetence. The club's incompetence has really pissed so many people off. It's like Ander Herrera, whose contract got run down. You know, he was genuinely just so disappointed to be leaving Manchester United. But I mean, he was trying to negotiate a massive wage, which is hilarious. I think a lot of people will say, "Oh, you shouldn't be asking for that sort of wage." Well, why wouldn't you? Because again, terrible negotiations, completely terrible negotiations. So of course, you're going to get a lot of players who have previously left Man United who have nothing, not a positive word to say about the club, which is a shame because usually you get players who, absolutely love the prospect of being a Manchester United player. But now it just seems like a chore, not even a job. We don't even have the luxury of saying that it's a job to be playing for Manchester United. It's a chore. It is a chore. It's like doing the dishes. It's like doing the washing. It's like, oh, I guess I'll just have to do it. You know, you hate doing it. You don't want to do it, but you just have to do it. Oh, fine, all right, then I'll get on with it. Anyways, don't think there's really anything else going on at the moment, so I'll probably call it a day there, I reckon. Um, what How did I just see? That's really weird. That's so weird. Never mind, I was just seeing a video on my Twitter space. But yeah, let me know. You guys who watch it on playback, I don't think we had any live viewers, but for anyone who does watch it on playback, do let me know what let me know on your thoughts and feelings on the subjects that we've spoken about, and just how you feel about your club's transfer windows thus far. Whether you're excited, whether you're depressed, whether you're sort of in the middle, not too sure. There's a little bit of positive, a little bit of negative, and drop your comments in. Do be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and turn the notification bell on for when I next put out content, which should be tomorrow, probably early afternoon again. If I can, if I'm going on the basis that I can't trust myself to wake up early in the morning and actually do something in the morning, it'll probably be early afternoon. But until then, this is goodbye from me, and I'm signing off for the day. Goodbye for now.